Okay, so this is my webinar presentation for how to get endorsed from the Global Talent Visa endorsement process. This is the light version, which means that the extended version is on my in my membership area, which I'll take you through after this as well. So although there's a lot of content in today's session, there's even more content in my membership area. So hopefully you won't get too lost, but I'll try and be as clear and concise as possible. So what I'll go through today is I'll explain the stage 1 application process. I'll also talk about the new changes that happened on the 4th of June of this year. So just in case you kind of like in the middle of doing your applications, I'll just let you know what the changes are. I'll give you examples and tips from all my years of experience of doing this. So hopefully, I can capture anything that you've missed or need to watch out for. I will also share an e-gift at the end for taking the time out of your day today to attend my webinar. I know it's late in the day, so thank you very much. And there's an e-gift and I'll share that with you as well. I'll also demo my membership area so you can have a look. If you wanted access to more resources and content, it's there for you. And then finally, I'll answer all your questions and please feel free to do that. So just a little bit about myself. I do know some of you already, but for those who don't know me, and I'm sorry I don't know the others that have signed up today, but hopefully I will get to know you. My name is Michelle. I'm from Australia, but I was born in Vietnam, so grew up in Australia and had all my education there. I'm the founder and CEO of Made with Glove. It's a UK wearable technology company designing heated gloves. And I'm now a consultant as well, and I consult in the stage 1 endorsement process for the Global Talent Visa. And it all came about because in 2016, I myself was endorsed with exceptional talent by Tech Nation. I was one of the first actually, probably the top 50 that were endorsed at the time. And I was a Tech Nation visa ambassador for a few years after being endorsed. And the reason was because at the time, not many people knew about the visa and the new route that they established. So they needed ambassadors to go out and promote and to talk about their journey and their story. And I was on an entrepreneur's visa at the time. It's now called an innovator's visa, and that was running out and I couldn't renew it. And luckily I stumbled across what was called the exceptional talent visa, which is now called the global talent visa. And thank goodness I found it in time before my visa expired and got it the first time round. The great thing about the Global Talent Visa is that after 3 years, I was able to apply for an indefinite leave to remain. So I got that last year and the process wasn't too bad actually. I mean, there was a lot of paperwork as most visa applications, that come with it. But I did have to study for a Life in the UK test. And I studied solidly for a month for that test. And luckily I passed the first time around and then got the indefinite leave to remain. And then shortly after I got the my British citizenship. So my journey with the immigration status has ended. The only thing I need to do is apply for a British passport. So I will do that after lockdown lifts and get that sorted. And I have dual citizenship once I get my passport as well. I've been in the UK for 7 years, based myself in Manchester and Newcastle, and regularly travelled down to London for work. I was up and down a lot. So I understand the UK tech sector, both from the northern perspective and in London as well. So my network, my tech network is quite broad and quite varied as well. Before I quit my job to become a tech entrepreneur, I was a commercial law solicitor in Australia, and I worked in Perth, Melbourne, and worked in New Zealand as well for a year, and that was such a great experience, but decided that I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore after 8 years, and then became a tech entrepreneur in the UK. In 2019, I was listed as one of the top 100 influencers on gender equality and diversity. And it's the reason why I do what I do, and I love what I do, and that is I'm an advocate for women in tech and for diversity in tech, because I've been in the industry for 7 years. There's such a big gap, and the UK tech sector needs to have more diversity. So, you know, this is something that I personally want to do, and professionally as well. I'm a speaker, I'm a STEM ambassador, I'm a mentor and coach as well. And I also write blogs, and the topic is obviously the Tech Nation visa. And that's what started this whole journey. After I got my visa, I wrote a blog about my journey, because at the time in 2016, no one knew about this visa. I didn't have anyone to ask or, you know, go to. So I kind of fumbled my way through. So I thought, well, if that's what's happened to me, you know, moving forward, I can help others as well. So it started with one blog, went viral. I got so many people contacting me about the visa and about the process and what, you know, they needed to do, and then became the Tech Nation visa ambassador, and then, you know, became a consultant. So over the, you know, 3-4 years I've been doing this, I've helped over 100 tech entrepreneurs, senior execs and tech employees with their applications. I've had clients from WhatsApp, Sony, Tata Communications, LinkedIn, Cognizant. I've helped startups, CTOs, CEOs, UX designers, and graduates. So in the last few years, I have helped quite a number of people in so many different roles, in different companies. So there's not a lot that I haven't seen, but I'm always wanting to learn more, because the tech sector is so fast moving and it changes quite rapidly. So this is why I love doing what I do. I want to learn more about, you know, people's roles and skills, so I can help them get into the country or continue their journey into the UK tech sector. Because I've done so much, my success rate is 70 to 80%. It's something that I think the reason is because I've been through the process myself. I know what it's like. I know that, you know, everywhere you turn, there's a decision that needs to be made. And, you know, without the help and support that you should get, you know, it's very difficult, and it's a lonely road. It's just like being an entrepreneur, you know, it's a lonely road. So that's why I'm here to help, and I will help as much as I can to get you through and to succeed, because success is key. Just a quick disclaimer, this information is for guidance for stage 1 only. I'm not providing any legal or immigration advice. Stage 1 is a straight up application to Tech Nation. It's not an immigration application. It's stage 2 that is the visa application. I act independently from Tech Nation and the Home Office. So if you need any immigration advice, I can refer you to immigration solicitors. I have a couple that I rely on, so I can certainly send you. So let's have a look at what is the Global Talent Visa. Sorry. It was formerly the Tier 1 Exceptional Talent Visa, and in February 2020, they changed it to the Global Talent Visa. And as you can see, there's a hashtag Tech Nation visa, and that's specifically for digital tech. It's a special visa that was introduced to allow highly skilled entrepreneurs and talent in digital tech the ability to apply for the right to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It's a 2-stage process where the applicant must be endorsed by Tech Nation. And then the way you can get endorsed is if you meet the strict criteria set by Tech Nation before you can apply for the visa. So you need to be endorsed first in stage 1, and then once you're endorsed, then it's the visa stage. And it's more than a job application. When I go through the criteria and all the documents needed, it does look like it's a job application and, you know, letters of recommendation. But if you look at it again one step closer, you'll see that the reason why it's called an exceptional talent visa, or used to be called an exceptional talent visa, is because they want you to go over and beyond your day-to-day job. They know you already work in the tech sector, but let's see what's exceptionally talented about you. And, you know, it can be a scary thing to look at, but when we go through the criteria, I will ease your concerns about, you know, you don't have to come across as someone who's, you know, exceptionally talented. No one ever thinks of themselves as exceptionally talented, but let's just look at the criteria and meet that criteria, and then that will satisfy the assessors. I can't talk about the Global Talent Visa in digital tech, which is the Tech Nation visa, without talking about all the other endorsing bodies, because it's the Global Talent Visa is the umbrella visa. Then you've got the endorsing bodies under that. So there's the British Academy, there's the Royal Society, there's the Royal Academy for Engineering, and they're like engineering, science, and humanities type endorsing bodies. There's the UKRI, so they endorse researchers and academics. And then there's the Arts Council, and they endorse people in the arts sector. There's fashion, and there's also architecture as well. So I do get some applicants who feel that, you know, should they apply for the engineering one or the science one, or should they apply for the Tech Nation visa one? So just be mindful that if you feel like, you know, you might cross over, or which one do you fit under, have a look at the other criteria. But today it's really only about the Tech Nation visa, and that's the only one that I consult in. I have helped some people in, say, the arts visa, but only really just to answer questions about some of the documents that, you know, you would need to submit letters of recommendation, because it's all the same really, that they still do have to submit letters and personal statements and the like. So the benefits of the Global Talent Visa, and this is something that, you know, really appealed to me when I applied, was that it gives you the freedom and flexibility to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It allows you the ability to apply for an indefinite leave to remain and British citizenship. You can also bring your dependents with you. So if you've got children or a partner, you can get them under your visa. You can also register a limited company as well in the UK. I know that some visas, such as the student visas or the tier 2 visas, you can't register a limited company, but under the Global Talent you can. You can also work for a tech company without the need for a company sponsorship. So you know, tier 2 visas, they require you to be sponsored by a company, and, you know, it's fine, but company sponsorship is expensive. They have to like apply for it. They have to pay for it as well. And, you know, if they've got a British citizen who doesn't need to worry about, you know, sponsorship, you know, the competition there is quite high. So in this case, you've got your own visa, it's attached to you, and you can basically apply to any job that you want to in the tech sector. You don't have to be an entrepreneur and found your own company for this visa. You can be an employee and work for a digital tech company. So that's a great thing about this visa. And it's very cost effective. This whole process, the stage 1 process and then the stage 2, it's in the hundreds, not the thousands that most visas are. I mean, I've paid so much for all my visa applications. You know, I paid for the entrepreneur's visa, I paid for the indefinite leave to remain and the citizenship. They were in the thousands, whereas this one's in the hundreds. So it's very good, it's very cost effective. So the requirements are 15 pieces of evidence, which is 15 documents that you need to submit, the CV, personal statement, and 3 letters of recommendation. So you have to do that regardless. And then, as I said, it's like a job application. Then it goes further. The 10 documents that you need to submit is part of your key and qualifying criteria. And there are 6 of those, but you only need to select 3, or you only need to meet 3 of them in order to for the assessor to endorse you. And we'll go through what those criteria are and which ones you can select. I can't talk about all of that until I tell you the changes, the very, very recent changes. So when they decided to change and rebrand from the Tier 1 Exceptional Talent Visa to the Global Talent Visa, there were slight changes then. But now, after a few months, the endorsing bodies have said, right, now let's revisit and let's look at even more changes. And that only just happened last week. So it used to be 2 pages for all the pieces of evidence. But now the letters of recommendation and the evidence for each criteria, it can now be 3 pages, which is great, because working with applicants, squeezing everything in 2 pages is a nightmare, especially when you've got so much information to provide and you're trying to squeeze everything in. It's now 3 pages, which is great. With the letters of recommendation though, you can also include your expert CV, and that used to be included within the 2-page, but now they've said it's 3 pages and then plus the CV if you want to include this your expert CV. So that's in addition to, so that's even more of a big sigh of relief for applicants. The key and qualifying criteria, they've deleted the word director and replaced it with senior exec, and that's a very minor change. If you have a technical skill, they've also clarified this, that you have to prove that you have proven technical skills with the latest digital technologies. So with the latest digital technologies is the new addition. So they don't want you to provide, proof of old technology that you worked on. They want you to be working on current and latest projects or products. Now, if you have any active digital technology businesses or dissolved digital technology businesses within the last 5 years, they used to just say you need to provide proof of that. But now what you must do is you must show that they are commercially successful and why you meet the criteria for endorsement. So there's a little bit more information that they require from you. And this bit forms part of your 10 documents. So it's outside of the key and qualifying criteria. You just need to, this is part of your 10, so you have to provide that. They've also clarified what consultants mean, and we'll go through that. They've added the word management or technical in front of consultants, or in addition to consultants. So if you're a consultant, if you're a management or technical consultant, TechNation have said that you probably aren't a suitable applicant, and I'll go through that in more detail. In the endorsement, you can also fast track your application to 18 working days. So a decision can be made within 18 working days if you are part of an accelerator. And they've added 3 new accelerators, and you must be within a current cohort, not a previous alumni of an accelerator to fast track. Continuous learning has been defined even further in the qualifying criteria. So they've defined what mastery of skills is. So have a look at that. And then finally, if there are any letters from third-party organisations, and if anyone is writing in their professional capacity on behalf of this third-party organisation, you need to provide the logo and the registered office address of this organisation. So this is something that is new. It goes to, if you're providing any letters of recommendations and the expert is writing in his professional capacity, then he needs to include his company's logo and registered office address. If he's writing in, or he or she is writing in their personal capacity, then a personal letterhead is fine. So that's just the minor difference there. Just some stats, the endorsements, it used to be 200 endorsements per year. It was when I applied, but then later they said, well, it's 200, but we can sort of use this pot of 1,000 that's shared amongst all the other endorsing bodies that they can dip into to endorse more applicants. So that was a great relief, 1,200 potentially, but given the new changes, it's now unlimited. So it means that if you apply for stage 1 endorsement, you could potentially be endorsed. There's no cap now whatsoever, which is great news. In 2017, there were 450 applications that they received. And then, obviously they got more marketing promotions. TechNation Visa ambassadors went out and spoke to a lot of people. In 2018-19, it went up 200 to 650 applications. And then more recently, I've just discovered that in the last financial year, in 2019-20, there were just over 950 applications. So you can see there's, more and more people applying for this. Just because more and more people are applying for it, not everyone gets endorsed. So there is about a 50 to 60% endorsement rate as well. So that's why you need to look at the criteria and make sure that you meet the criteria. because this is a tech visa, obviously there are more people working with technical skills apply and get endorsed, and that's just the nature of it. But don't let that put you off applying if you have a business skill. It's just the stats. So the talent that have been endorsed are mainly people working in software development, AI, machine learning, fintech, and enterprise cloud sectors. But obviously, of course, there are people with business skills and other skills that are endorsed as well, but this is just the majority. The difference in male-female ratio is 30-70, which, you know, it's heavy on the male side, but that's just because there's more males in the tech sector. But having said that, because of my advocacy role and because I'm trying to increase the number of females that I help and work with, just last summer I helped 6 women in tech apply for theirs, and all 6 got it. So that is a huge achievement, and really want to help more females get it, apply it, and really enter in the UK tech sector. So in January of 2021, just to watch out, because of Brexit, the EU falls into normal immigration rules, which means that there will be more competition from EU. Before they just, you know, now they're able just to come in and work in the digital tech sector because they fall within EU, but because of Brexit, they will start looking at this route as well. Maybe more competition for you guys, but because there's an unlimited amount of endorsements available, that might be okay. So let's have a look at the application process. There's a stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is £456. What you would do is you would obviously go through all the guidance and look at all your criteria and get all your documents together. You would then apply to the Home Office, and the Home Office is where you pay your fee, and that's all they do, is they just collect the money. Once you get an email from them to say, yes, if we've got your money, then you can apply online to the Tech Nation portal, and then upload all your documents there. It does take a while, so it could take about 30 minutes to an hour to do it. I suggest you leave some time. If you're rushing, try not to rush in this last bit, because, you know, technical difficulties, trust me, I've had lots of clients, you know, want to rush through it all, but take your time. You can save your application and come back to it, and just make sure that you do it properly, and don't do it late at night, because obviously there will be some technical glitches, sod's law, there will be. So just do it once and then come back to it and with fresh eyes and have a look at it again and make sure everything's in order. Once you submit to Tech Nation, that's it. You then wait. It takes up to 8 weeks for them to come back to you. During COVID though, which is quite interesting, I've had a lot of clients who've submitted. The quickest time is 4 days where Tech Nation assessors have come back. And I've had a client come back, get a result within 3 weeks during COVID. So they are looking at them a lot quicker during this time, which is great, but it can take up to 8 weeks. If you are successful, Home Office will come back to you to say, yes, you are endorsed, proceed with stage 2 visa route. So that's when you would then apply through the Home Office again and pay your £152, which isn't a lot. And then you have to sort out your biometric, which they take your fingerprint. Then you also have to pay the NHS fee, which is the immigration health surcharge. Now, when I applied, it was only $200 per year. They increased it to $400 per year. So currently you would pay $400 per year, but just bearing in mind, in October of this year, they are going to increase it to $624 per person per year that applies under this visa route. So just watching out, you know, you could potentially apply right now, and if they get back to you, you can apply for stage 2 before October, before the increase. But I wouldn't rush your application just to save, you know, $224 per year for your immigration health surcharge. You know, just focus on getting your application as strong as it can be now. We are running out of time for you to rush your applications, but just to let you know, just to save £224 extra per year. And that takes 3 to 8 weeks to come back to you. For me though, it took 2 weeks for them to come back, and it would have been quicker had I been at home to sign to get my passport back. So this process is a lot quicker than the endorsement stage. But if you are unsuccessful, there are 3 options which you can avail yourself to. The first one is you can apply to review technician's decision, and that's going through the appeal process. You have 28 calendar days in which to respond to the assessor's decision, and you can only appeal if you feel that the assessor has made a mistake. You may not like their decision, which most clients don't and applicants don't, but if you really do feel that they've made a mistake, then you can appeal. Once you've sent in your application, your appeal, they've got 28 calendar days to come back to you with the decision. It can either be yes, we agree your decision is overturned and you go straight to stage 2, but they can say no, we agree with the first assessor's decision. You can resubmit or go through another visa route. So I help a lot of applicants with the appeal process as well. So let's have a look at the 2 different skills that you can apply for, and this is the eligibility side of it. It's technical skills or business skills, and have a look where you fit in the closest to, if you can't see yours here. This is not an exhaustive list. TechNation understand that the tech sector does move quite quickly. There are new roles popping up, but they've captured as much as they can. So just have a look at these if you fit in one of these, and if not, pick the one closest. Now, this is important because this wasn't available when I applied. Now they are saying what is not a suitable applicant. So the big one that a lot of people do ask about is the consultancy side. And this is something that they've had to clarify. If you're a technical or management consultant, this visa route is not for you. But I have had work with clients who were consultants, but again, it depends on the evidence that you provide as well. So I need to have a separate conversation with you about this because it can be quite confusing. But again, this one is very clear in that they want you to work within product-led digital technology companies building products, and they want you to not work for agencies or outsourcers. So, you know, they want you to work in-house for product-led digital technology companies. So let's have a look. Once the eligibility criteria is sorted, let's look at the category in which you can apply under. So you can select talent or promise. And if you are more than 5 years in your field of expertise and you're senior in your field, you have a track record of innovation and could be potentially seen as a leader, you would go under talent. And if you do get endorsed for exceptional talent, in 3 years, you can apply for your indefinite leave to remain. And that's the one that I applied under. But when I applied back then, they just said, are you a talent or promise? They didn't even have any of these clarifications for us, and we just kind of ticked whichever. But luckily, there is a difference now. 3 years for talent for ILR. Now, you can apply under promise as well, and this is good. If you've got less than 5 years experience in your field, this is someone who's maybe a graduate or have a promising career. If they're junior, if you've got potential. Okay, so the other one is, you know, track record. You know, it's pretty set that you've got, you know, innovation track record, you're a leader. This one is potential, showing promise, which means that if you get promise, you can, after 5 years, apply for your indefinite leave to remain. So the difference is 2 years. The assessor also has discretion as well. I had a client who applied under promise, and it was because she crossed over into a new field of expertise, but she did have a lot of background experience in another field. But she wouldn't have got into her new field without, you know, having the background in her old field. So she said, look, I don't feel like I want to go under talent. I want to go under promise because I'm only 1 year into this new field. So yeah, so we did that. But at the same time, after she submitted, the assessor came back and said, well, actually, this person is not a promised candidate. We've assessed her under talent, and we consider that she is a talent. So we were endorsing her with exceptional talent. So that was a really nice surprise for her, really gave her so much more confidence in her ability. And in 3 years, she can apply for an indefinite leave to remain, which is great. So, and then now let's have a look at the criteria, and I'll go through this in more detail. They've separated, so talent has this criteria and promise has a lesser sort of onerous criteria that you need to meet. So you only need to meet 1 out of 2 in the key criteria, so you just select 1 out of the 2. And then in your qualifying criteria, you only need to select 2 out of 4. So the first one is on innovation. The second one is on proof of recognition outside of your immediate occupation. That's a key criteria. And then the four qualifying criteria is, the first one's about impact. The second one is about leading talent. The third one is about continuous learning or certifications. And the fourth one is about academic research. So I'll go through in more detail about what these are. So the first one is on innovation. As you can see, I've separated it out, and the main difference is a proven track record of innovation for talent and more than 1 example of innovation for promise. So some things that you can submit are, I put patents, but don't be alarmed because not everyone has a patent. Of all the clients that I've helped, only 2 have had patents, and obviously they got through, but not everyone has a patent. So don't worry if you don't have one. You can show your designs, your concepts or prototypes to show innovation. You can also, that's as a technical person, but if you're a business person, you can show accounts or stockists or strategy. That's a good way of showing innovation. But it's one thing to show those things, but I think now that you've got 3 pages, you can add context. You can say, why is it innovative? What is the innovation and how is it innovative? And just so that you can really tell the assessor what it is that you're working on and why is it innovative. So they can't turn around and say in feedback, if you are unsuccessful, they don't understand what the innovation is, they haven't met this criteria. So make it clear in the very outset, what, why, how. Employment contracts are interesting because I know that the Technation guidelines have said you can use your employment contracts, but have a think about if your employment contract satisfies the innovation criteria, then yes, put it in. But from my perspective, an employment contract only shows a few things, and that is your title, the term of the employment contract, if any. It also shows your salary, and it shows any bonuses. I don't see how it can show innovation. So just be careful about showing employment contracts. Just make sure that the employment contract answers or meets that criteria that you're putting it up against. The second key criteria that you can select, and this is the one that I selected, is proof of recognition for work outside of your immediate occupation that contributes to the advancement of the digital tech sector. And the reason why I chose this is because I had more evidence for this. So it comes down to evidence and how much evidence you have to fulfill the criteria. So things that you do outside of your day-to-day job, such as, you're speaking, if you've spoken at conferences, if you're seen as an influencer, anything that is community building stuff. So I built a community called Women of Wearables, and I built it from 0 to 8,000 followers in 18 months. And then it went global, and now, it's got 20,000 followers. And that advances the women in tech, Women of Wearables, digital tech sector. And that's evidence that I provided. Any articles or interviews that you've made in any thought leadership publications, anything that talks about trends in the industry, so just think about, does this piece of evidence show that I'm doing work outside of my day-to-day job that advances the digital tech sector? And again, any mentoring, a lot of people mentor students as well, so that advances the digital tech sector because you're contributing to the future or next generation. And then now the following four qualifying criteria is on impact, leadership, continuous learning, and academic research. So you only need to select 2 out of the 4. The first one is on impact, and this is something that a lot of my clients struggle with, because they're so busy in their day-to-day job. They just do their job, they do the project, and then they move on to the next project. But what this process forces you to do is think about and reflect on what is the impact of each piece of evidence that you're submitting. So what was the achievement? What was the growth that you made for the company? What was the result? And if you've got any metrics, I always advise my client, okay, let's look at the project at the beginning, and let's look at the project after. What did it look like at the start to what did it look like when you finished the project? And how does that impact the company itself? So you need to show at least 3 pieces of evidence for this, and you can show business versus technical impact. Letters of support from companies to attest and confirm the impact that you made to that company is always really good. If you've influenced investment, or if you gained customers or sales or processes, show how did you do that. If it wasn't for you, what would it look like? Showing proof of your work, your technical designs and prototypes, and what were the achievements and outcomes. Because I'm working with clients now, and they've got they've been working on designs and concepts and prototypes and solutions, and they've got the finished product. But I always say, what did it look like before you started this project? What was your brief? What was the problem that the client faced or the company faced before you came on board? What were you trying to fix, and how did it impact? How did your project impact them at the end? And also, if you work in teams, which a lot of people do, try not to talk about teamwork too much, even though it probably was. Talk more about what you added to the project, and use the word I instead of we. And the reason is because the assessor has come back and said to one of my clients who didn't ask me to help in the first place, it was an appeal. They said, well, we can see that there's a lot of teamwork here. We couldn't see what the applicant actually did. So this is why it's very important to just forget about the team and use the word I, and really make it clear what you did to the project. And the impact needs to be to a product-led digital technology company. So the second qualifying criteria is leadership. This is one that I chose as well. So showing leadership in your field of expertise, showing that you're an influencer, that you have expert knowledge, that you have thought leadership in your field of expertise, mentoring, teaching, coaching, and training. And this is very similar to the key criteria 1, which is proof of recognition outside of your immediate occupation. I provided lots of evidence about conferences that I attended, not only attended, but I spoke at these conferences. I had marketing and promotional material showing, me speaking at the event, which event it was. I provided articles that were written about me, and interviews that I held with top, tech magazines, blogs that you write. A lot of people writing blogs now. Stay away from blogs that you write for your own LinkedIn or Medium or for your own website. And that's because you have control over publishing that content. What TechNation would prefer is if you write for publications that go through a checking system and would influence and educate their readers. So that's very useful to know as well. So try to look at blogs or articles outside of your own platforms. Any books that you've authored or reviewed. If you've made any presentations, especially YouTube. I had a question about YouTube. How do you show that? Well, you just do a screenshot of the your YouTube video, and make sure you've got the viewership and the date, and then you can write context about what it was that you spoke about, because you've got 3 pages now. Letters of support as well are great. I had a letter of support from an organization that I spoke for, and the impact that I made and what I spoke about, you know, showing my leadership and impact to their attendees. This is more about your public facing profile as well. So I encourage you to Google yourself, so that you can see, you know, is there anything on Google about yourself? And you might be surprised, you might find some things that you forgot about as well. Any little bit is great. So, and also any awards, if you've won any awards showing leadership, definitely put that in. The continuous learning qualifying criteria is very popular because, you know, if you've got any certifications, it's great evidence, stick it in. But it needs to be consistent and frequent patterns of study ranging over 5 years, and it's got to be more than 20 hours. When I applied, this was very loose. People were submitting evidence that, you know, they did Udemy and Coursera courses for like an hour or two, and it was over a span of 12 months. That was the criteria, and it was really hard for us to meet this criteria back then. But now they've relaxed it a bit. It has to be over 5 years, but they've said it has to be 20 hours at least. It can't be short courses. It needs to show clear progression, and no courses, internal company training, because it's something that you should already be doing in your job. So have a look at that list. It can be paid or unpaid. You need to show your results as well and the marks that you received. So include those in. Finally, this is the academic contribution one. So it's about academic research. If you're working on, you know, very innovative research, this is the criteria, and this is what you would submit evidence against. Again, they've separated for talent and promise. You know, the one on talent is quite onerous. You need to show publications in journals and any letters of support from research supervisors. But over to the right, you just need to show, you know, some kind of contribution. You can show letters of support from senior academics as opposed to, you know, the professors. And if you've got any innovation vouchers that you've won. I went under this one. I got a research supervisor, a professor, to write me a letter, but because academics can be quite slow, and also they're busy, it took me so long to get them to even sign the letter for me. So I had to keep chasing them. So my biggest key takeaway, and this is for letters of recommendation as well, is to ask your experts as early as you can, because you just want to keep chasing them, which I did. So finally, templates. I do provide templates in my membership area, but you also need to write a personal statement and provide letters of recommendation. The personal statement is about your professional story in tech. I wouldn't go too personal, even though it says personal statement. Just keep it professional. It's a chance to show your talents and convince the assessor why you deserve to be in the UK, and also why you meet the criteria. Focus on your impacts, achievements, and outcomes. And it has to be the digital tech story. And I highly recommend that you draft this at the end, once you've got all your evidence in front of you, because if you feel like you want to mention something that's not in your evidence, that's fine, put it in your personal statement. But yes, do it at the end. Your letters of recommendation, however, do that at the beginning, because you're relying on experts and you don't know what their schedule is like. They're typically very busy. Check their achievements and credentials, because although you may think that they're a good expert, check the credentials and criteria for experts. They can be international or UK. The 3 letters must be from different organizations. And this is very similar to a letter of support as well. It's the same structure. Experts need to tell the technician, or need to write in their letters what your future plans are in the UK. Whereas letters of support in your criteria documents, they don't need to say that. It's your experts that need to confirm your future plans. So finally, my top tips. First of all, think about whether or not you're eligible. So look at the business or technical skills. Have a look at whether or not you're going for talent or promise category. Have a look at your achievements. This is the biggest thing, is really thinking about your achievements over the course of your career in tech, and note them down. It will put you in a very positive mind frame as well if you focus on your achievements. What are your plans in the UK? So it's not enough to say in the letters of recommendation and your personal statement that your plan is just to see how you go when you get to the UK. That's not good enough. You're going to have a 1 to 3 year and a 3 to 5 year plan. Even if it's not concrete, just having some kind of plan to tell the assessor that you've actually thought about it is better than not having a plan. Again, look at your experts and your support people. Sometimes my clients think that experts, their people can be experts, but really they're better off as support people. So, have a think about that and really focus on which ones are better experts than support people. The criteria, have a checklist. I have a checklist in my membership area, which I'll show you because that will keep you on track. There's 15 documents that you need to draft and finalize. So just making sure that you check them off as you go along and see where they're up to really will keep you on track. Draft your personal statement at the end. Calculate your timing as well. So if you've got a current visa that is expiring, just make sure that you leave enough room and time, especially for decisions to come back, and also definitely in the appeal side of it. If you're unsuccessful, there's an extra 28 days that you need to respond, and then 28 days in which they come back to you. So that adds 2 months really. So I'm helping clients that their visa's expiring in a year or two, because we just don't know. You don't know how long it's going to take. And then I've got clients who, their visa is expiring in the next couple of months, so we have to work really hard and quickly. But obviously, please leave as much time as possible. Immigration health surcharge fee, October 2020 is date you need to have in your mind to save up for. And finally, try not to stress. It is already a stressful process, and I went through it myself, and I did not eat and sleep for like 3 months because I was so stressed and I didn't have the support that I needed. And this is why I'm here now. I've got different packages of support available to help you reduce your stress, because I understand it is stressful. Just try not to add to your stress on top of all the things that you're doing. So that's it. Thank you for attending. We will go through to questions, but I just want to let you know that this is my ebook. It's another, it's about 30 pages of more things that you need to watch out for. If I'm not there, you can go through the book and make sure that you watch out for little things that you may not have considered, because, I understand this process is very overwhelming. So hopefully this will help you get through it. And again, these are my packages of support. The top part is the paid packages, and then the bottom part is the freebies. So I have that membership area, which I keep talking about, because it's my 3 years of documents, resources, and everything that I've shared, I can share with you. I've got 1-hour consultations, which a lot of clients want as well, just to, go through a few things with them. I've got my bespoke premium consultancy package, and this is my most popular package because I help them from start to finish. And this is why my success rate is, 70 to 80%, because I'm with you from start to finish. And I will be with you for the appeal process as well, because I can't guarantee a successful application, but I can guarantee a very strong application. And if an appeal comes, if an unsuccessful decision comes back, I help you through that. And your chances of a successful appeal is high when I help you. It's just the assessors just maybe doesn't get it or whatever. I've helped a lot of clients through their appeals as well, so we become successful that way. And again, I help with the appeals separately, so if you've done it yourself, and that's fine, but if it comes back unsuccessful, I help you through that process. Weekly newsletters, I write blogs. This is the educational webinar. I have an inspirational webinar as well, which I'll just let you know who the next inspirational successful recipient is. I have a Facebook page and YouTube channel, and coming soon, Facebook group and LinkedIn group. I will send out a newsletter tomorrow, so you can sign up to any of these, which if you're not familiar with it, but I've got all your emails for the newsletter, so I'll send you all the newsletter tomorrow. So my next inspirational webinar is an interview with Diego. That's in 2 weeks' time. That's on the 25th of June. Diego's from Mexico and he lives in Manchester. So he was one of those that his visa was running out and we didn't have a lot of time. He also did his application by himself, and when it came back unsuccessful, he contacted me and we spent a good 2 weeks solid of rejigging his documents, answering the feedback, and then submitted. And then within 3 weeks during COVID-19 lockdown, the assessor came back and gave him a successful result. So yeah, he's very, very grateful, but very relieved that we got it in on time. So please sign up to that and I'll put that in the newsletter as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through my membership area. I know we are running out of time, but if you can stay, I will answer all your questions. So let me share my screen again. I hope I don't have any technical issues, but I've set it up so that I don't. So hopefully you can see my access to my membership area. Once you make the payment, you'll get a login, and then you'll get access here. And I just wanted to quickly show you so you know it's real, because I know a lot of people are a bit scared about buying things online. So here it's very well structured, laid out, because that's how I work. It needs to be neat and tidy, and all the information is there. So this is the updates which I just did this week. I just uploaded this one. As I mentioned, my webinar presentation, you got the light version, but here's the extended version. I've split it out. It was inspired by the LinkedIn learning courses. So there's lots of little videos, shorter videos, more information there for you, so it can help you as well. This is what is really popular, my personal statement templates, and I have an explainer video as well, and worksheets to help you through who your experts and support people can be, and you can download it all here. Similarly with letters of recommendation, here as well, I've got everything there for you. This is my checklist that I use and I will share with you, so you can make sure that you're on track. You can download that as well. I've got wording examples, and that's always really useful, just to inspire you what words you can write, how to avoid appeals. Now, this I decided to include. This is in my appeals membership area as well, but you need, I would strongly, if you want to, have a look at this, because this is moving forward. This is how to avoid an appeal. So I've got examples in here, 20 examples of assessors' feedback, so that hopefully you don't get that same feedback. And that's what I use to help my clients, because I know what the feedbacks are like, and I help my clients try to avoid that feedback. Interviews, I interview successful recipients as well. I do write a blog about them, but this is the straight up Q&A, that some of them are in blog form, but this is the Q&A session. And then these are my own application documents, which you can have a look at. I have taken out a lot of things for GDPR purposes, but it's just an idea of the types of documents that I submitted, so you can have a look. I've got some letters of recommendation that you can have a look at as well. And then how you can, oh yeah, sorry, one more thing, templates. If you've got numerous awards, presentations, and publications, here's a template that you can avail yourself to. And then if you need to ask me more questions, or if you need my full support, that's how you can get it. So that's it really. I hope that kind of helps you. Great, I can see some questions already. Would it be harmful if you're promised but you apply under talent? You need to meet the criteria. So if I had this question before, if you're kind of like on the cusp of promise and talent, I would probably look at the criteria to help guide you whether or not you should apply under promise or talent. So yeah, that's, yeah. But if you are more of a promise but you apply under talent, you're probably more likely to be unsuccessful. But if you are a talent but you apply under promise, the assessor is more likely to kind of bring you up. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so that's the answer there. Once an application is rejected, this is from Yash, will they mention the reason or why it's rejected with a clear explanation? Yeah, so in my appeals section, there's I've got the feedback form, and it's really good to know what the feedback is. And there is a space on the right hand corner is reasons for feedback. So the assessor has a checklist, but they also have a spot where they can actually explain what the reasons are. And this is used to help you appeal. So if they have, like, 4 paragraphs, and my clients had, have had 4 paragraphs of feedback, you would then take each of those and answer them separately and explain why the assessor has made a mistake for those decisions. So definitely they do provide really good feedback, and that helps you either appeal, or you can use that feedback and then resubmit. And that's what we did with Diego. The feedback was very clear. I said to him, there's no point appealing because we can see why you were unsuccessful the first time. So let's use this feedback and resubmit. And that was the reason he was successful, because we said, yeah, let's just take that feedback, bring it on, and then answer it. Can a Tier 4 dependent visa holder apply for this visa in the UK, or do they need to apply from their own home country? So the stage 1 endorsement is not a visa application. So you can apply for the endorsement from any country. But then when you apply for the visa, you can apply in the UK or outside the UK. And it depends on what your current status is. I don't know, because this is a visa question, but I will tell you that a Tier 5, for example, sorry, Tier 4 student, it might be student, they had to go back home to their own country to apply for stage 2 once they got their endorsement. So it depends on what your current visa is, and that's an immigration question. What can be considered sufficient as proof of recognition for Q2, which is the leadership criteria? Are you talking about one big conference or teaching a computer lab for a number of specific hours? It depends on your evidence. So it doesn't have to be a big conference. There are lots of community groups. It depends on who's attended and what impact that you've made. So it doesn't have to be a very big conference. It can be a smaller one. Are you allowed to fit many certificate screenshots in one document? Okay. Yeah. So this is something that a lot of people do, and you've got 3 pages now. You can squeeze 2 certifications in one document, meaning it's one piece of evidence. If you can squeeze all that information in, because you need to show the certificate, you need to show the results, and you also need to show how many hours. And if that particular certification, so for example, some of my clients do like AWS certifications, and they're really hard to do and to get into. So what we do is we provide context about how hard and challenging that certification was. So if you can fit that in as well, that would be useful. So it depends if you can fit everything in. Great. So, okay. So sorry, you meant key criteria too. What was that question? I don't remember. So I'm just going to quickly go into the Q&A now. Is that you, Yash? Because we can chat. We're chatting anyway, so that's fine. Is getting a job prior to the application mandatory? No, but you should have a solid-ish plan about what you plan to do in the UK if you get this endorsement. That is a requirement for the personal statement and the letter of recommendation. So if you are in talks with potential companies or recruiters, you can say you have been in discussions with these recruiters and these companies, and the discussions are very positive, and that you will take these discussions further when you get to the UK. or something like that. It just showing them that you've made, you know, some kind of plan, rather than saying, you know, I just plan to talk to these companies. You can do it now. There's no reason why you can't do it now and say that. And yeah, sometimes, you know, it does depend on your visa status as well. So it's like the chicken and egg situation. So just say as much information as you can and show them what your future concrete-ish plans are. Age limit. I get this question a lot. No, age limit doesn't matter. It's your skills. And I think the older you are, the more skills you should have, right? Just because if you're, you know, in your 40s or 50s, you may have, you know, 20 years experience, and that's great. That could actually work in your favor. So it doesn't impact you. You know, they do ask for your age, but it's really the skills that they're looking at more so than age. And this is the one thing that being older might actually benefit you. I did have someone who was very young. This was years ago. His father contacted me, and by his father contacting me, I felt he was very young. And then when I reviewed his application, he was like in his, I think he was 19 or something, and that, or even younger, but that was too young. He didn't have the skills to meet the criteria. So I hope that answers your question. I know we are a little bit over, and I'm really sorry. I think people have dropped off, and that's fine. But Anastasia, Aisha, Ricky, do you have any questions? Please do ask. I am on Monday holding office hours for 15 minutes. If you have any other questions, and if you want to take it one-to-one, and that's fine, I can do that. So I'll put that in my newsletter tomorrow, and then you can book in with me. I've already got, I think 4 slots have already been taken from my 1 o'clock webinar session. So please do let me know, even if it's just answer, you know, a few questions. I'd rather help you so that you can progress your application. I've got one more question here before I sign off. Is it absolutely necessary to have recommendation letters showing organizational logos? What if my expertise work in a company that doesn't allow using their logos for promoting someone outside the organization? That's very common, because company policy is that they don't want to, you know, obviously give letterheads out, and that's fine. So this is something that is a recent change as well. Depending on your expert, are they writing in their personal capacity or their professional capacity? So if they're writing in their personal capacity, but they also say that, you know, this is what they do as a job, that's fine. They can have a personal letterhead. But if they're writing in their professional capacity on behalf of the organization, then they need to have the logo and the registered office address on there. So it's up to you. Try to get a letterhead of some sort. A letterhead is better than no letterhead. And make that clear in your letter recommendation if they're writing in their personal or professional capacity. Hope that helps. Let me know. I've only just started these webinars for a few months now, 2 months since lockdown, and please give me some feedback, because I'd love to know what, if it is useful and I can continue on with these webinars or not. But please do contact me if you have any questions. Thank you, Anastasia. Hope that helps. And please do ask me questions, and we can just have a one-to-one, just so that it can help you further along. And this is why I do what I do, is, you know, let's increase the diversity of, you know, the tech sector in the UK. It is absolutely needed. Having 200 endorsements in the last few years is just ridiculous. And I'm so glad they finally listened to us and said, actually, let's just can the 200 or the 1,000 and let's make it free for all. Definitely, please do think about this, and don't be scared. If you don't meet the criteria right now, you have it, so you can spend some time to gather the necessary and relevant documents. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. Please do email me at techvisa@michellehewer.co.uk, but I will send you a newsletter tomorrow, and hopefully I will meet some of you again later. Yash, I'll see you on Saturday, and yeah. See you later, guys. Bye.